All right, let the drama begin. PBC, I think he's the head of press relations, is a guy named Tim Smith from the PBC, and he was asked about Terence Bud Crawford and him fighting Errol Spence. And Tim Smith said, is a VP at the PBC, said, not so fast. Terence Crawford still needs to prove himself and up his profile at 147 pounds. So I know Drink More Water is gonna love that. I know my man Woolbag is gonna love that. But let's talk about that in this video and what Bud should do about it in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Subscribers, if you're not subscribed, I hope you accept my invitation to subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we release more videos. Thank you so much to everybody that supports on the Patreon. There's a new video up on the Patreon. Check that out. It is Deontay Wilder and servicing your greatness. I think you'll really enjoy that conversation. It's boxing and it's a life lesson type of deal over on Patreon. Please check that out. Thank you to everybody that joined the channel, everybody that comes through the live streams Monday through Friday, OG Boxing Talk on Sunday. Thank you guys very, very much for your support. Okay. Also, man, everybody that watches the videos that are released at 1:15, 3:15, 5:15, and 8:15, Monday through Friday at the very least, where we cover pretty much, a lot of different boxing talk. We try to be a very consistent and a very active boxing network. Did I say network? Boxing channel, whatever you want to say. But let's get to the meat of this, okay? Appreciate you sitting through the salutation. So Tim Smith, is a VP at PBC, said that Terence Crawford needs to get his and I'm paraphrasing, okay? That he needs to increase his profile. And the problem with his profile is that it's not big enough because of the way that Top Rank has handled him in his career. And so while a lot of people want to see the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight, Errol Spence Jr. has a lot of other options that are just as big, and a couple of them bigger, on his plate with the PBC against proven fighters, right? So that is not the type of thing that boxing fans like to hear. I completely understand it. I am not appreciative of when you hear that type of stuff with with Anthony Joshua and the Deontay Wilder fight. I don't like it when I've heard it with Bob Arum saying it about Devin Haney with Vasily Lomachenko. I couldn't stand it when I heard it from Keith Thurman talking about Errol Spence Jr. or Danny Garcia talking about Errol Spence Jr., right? So first, let me get this out of the way because I know it's coming into the comment section, and I appreciate your comments in the comment section, but let me address this here. I don't like the sound of that. That is a very, very unfortunate thing in boxing because, look, if everything was the way that it should be and we were living in the boxing utopia, Errol Spence Jr. and Sean Porter would have fought, and then Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford would fight. Or why Errol Spence Jr. is fighting Sean Porter, Terence Crawford would have been fighting Yordenis Ugas. And while that fight was going on, Danny Garcia would have been having a rematch with Danny Garcia might have been fighting Adrian Bronner. I don't know, or Danny Garcia would be fighting Jaron Ennis or Jamal James, right? And we could just line up all of these welterweights, put them in a tournament, have them fight all on the same night. And over the course of a year, maybe, 12 months, 18 months, we could have it all done. We could do it like the World Boxing Super Series. And hey, man, we would know who it is. When it's done, we could mix up the records again and let them run again. And you could keep seeing these different matchups and it would be excellent. That's in the old days of boxing. You see that where guys have fought people multiple times, right? You see that, Harry Greb fought Gene Tunney like 5 different times, right, over the course of several years. You got to see that. You see where Jake LaMotta fought fought Sugar Ray Robinson multiple times. That would be absolutely wonderful if that was the situation. And I think that's what we should go back to and everybody should be endeavoring to go back to. But that's not the world that we live in. That is what you call a utopia. So when looking at things like that, I do believe that you also have to look at what the situation actually is and how boxing matches are actually being made today so that you can make, or at least I want to, because I want to be able to say, okay, how can, considering we're living in the environment that we're living in, how can we get the fights that we want to see? How can we? And that is why I have been such a proponent of Terence Crawford fighting Shawn Porter. Fight Shawn Porter. It is the perfect fight for Terence Crawford to squash that. To absolutely squash that. It's the biggest fight that Terence Crawford has had in his career, easy. Okay? It's the most respectable opponent that Terence Crawford would have fought in his career, easily. And aside from in his career, because somebody could say, well, you know, Ricky Burns at 135 or Postal at 140 or God, what is his name, man? I hate when I do this. The Cuban, Yorioka's Gamboa at 135 or whatever. No, it'd be Shawn Porter, and it would answer the question that Tim Smith put out there. It's a statement that Tim Smith put out there, which is that he has to prove himself against the top welterweights, and he's not done that. And it's because of the way Top Rank has moved him around. Like, I can tell you, or at least I believe that I can tell you this, okay? Because I knew before, as soon as he fought, the fight was announced between Terence Crawford and Jeff Horn, that Terence Crawford was going to fight Egis Kalvanakis. I knew it. You can go back in my videos where I say it, because the only concern that I had for Terence Crawford and Jeff Horn was whether or not it was going to tell me how Terence Crawford could handle a guy that was that big, because Jeff Horn is a big welterweight, right? But I had full confidence he could win the fight. Full confidence he could win the fight. But I also had full confidence that he was going to fight Egis Kalvanakis, because Egis Kalvanakis is a top rank fighter. And then it took a couple fights, but there you go. That's who he fought. But before that, who did he fight? He fought another top ranked fighter in Jose Benavidez. Then he on a one contract, washed up Amir Khan, and then boom, he's there with Egis Kalvanakis. Just like I truly believe that the next guy that he was going to fight, if he hadn't popped dirty, was the other Russian welterweight that the Top Rank has, and that's Alexander Putin. But that's not going to move the needle, not one iota, as it relates to the popularity and the interest in Terence Crawford. It's like Terence Crawford is just walking. He's just like he's walking in sand, or he's just jogging in place. It's not. None of these fights are pushing it and making this a scenario where it's building the fight. You know, so you will have people on the business side of PBC saying, hey, look, why don't we, I have to make a fight with, basically have them do the same thing that Top Rank would do, because they have multiple fighters who have as bigger reputations and have as big an audience and a biggest fan base as Terence Crawford. So why would they want to go and split the money with Bob Arum for a fight and wind up making where they're pulling in and keeping less money for fighting Terence Crawford than they would be for Errol Spence fighting Danny Garcia? Like I said, that's just the world we live in. So I believe, and I've been saying this, and Terence Crawford is very resistant to this idea, that, hey, build your name against the guys that the consensus think are, I hate that word, but that have proven themselves and have the biggest track records at welterweight, and people that just don't think, oh yeah, that's easy money, or somebody that can have a significant fan base that root against Terence Crawford, right? Either way it goes, but that's just not, he's not fighting guys with any established fan bases to convert, right? He's not fighting anybody that has a significant enough chance to win to draw interest to the fight. And the other guys are doing that. You have Danny Garcia, well, not this fight with Danny Garcia, but you have Danny Garcia fought Sean Porter. Sean Porter fought Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman fought Porter. You have Spence that fought Porter. Spence that fought Garcia. Spence that fought Kell Brook. Kell Brook fought Porter. You know, it's all these guys have proven that they're dangerous fighters with one another. And Terence Crawford is just sitting as the odd man out. And when you ask him, hey man, why don't you join the party with this guy? He's like, nah, I don't want to do it. I only want to do that guy. But they're like, look, man, that's the big money fighter. That guy doesn't need you. That guy's got other people. You're going to have to wait at the end of the line. And if boxing fans don't want Terence Crawford to have to wait to the end of the line, then Terence Crawford needs to jump out there and knock some people off who are in the line. You know what I mean? Fight the other people in line and get them out of the way. Because if you beat Sean Porter, then hey, that takes the Errol Spence Jr. Sean Porter rematch off the table because Terence Crawford beat him and Errol Spence beat him. If he fought Danny Garcia, if he could have got that beforehand, then Danny Garcia won't be an option because Terence Crawford knocked him off. And it shortens up the line and it takes away Tim Smith's argument, which is an argument that is widely recognized and very predictable was going to be made. So anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.